Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you one clip. I can't decide whether it's more worrying than bizarre or more bizarre than worrying, but it's both, I can assure you. So the National School Board Association in the United States drafted a letter. Get this, right? It's just... They were calling for military deployments. Not on the southern border, which you would probably expect, okay? In school board meetings, right? That just shows you the disconnect between radical leftists, teachers and school board members, and the conservative parents, yeah? This is the only logical conclusion to the rhetoric the left use. You don't need me to explain to you that they get carried away with rhetoric, talking points, buzzwords. They politicize everything. You've only got to look at what Beto O'Rourke did. Stunningly despicable what Beto O'Rourke did at that press conference in Texas. That's a different story. But I'm mentioning that to show you that they don't let any crisis go to waste, yeah? And the rhetoric they use gets higher and higher and higher until they can't verbally do anything else. And then that's where you end up with things like this. They often say that us on the right and Trump supporters are in a cult, yeah? Couldn't be further from the truth. If you want to know who are cultish and cult-like and in a cult, look at the left, look at the Democrats, here in Britain, the Labour Party, so on and so on and so on, yeah? It's not us calling for military deployment at a Democrat national rally, yeah? It's them calling for military deployment because they consider parents, conservative parents, as a threat to who? What's the issue? So look, we'll get into this nonsensical clip right now. If you haven't yet though, please like the video, subscribe to the Hoggcast, hit the notification bell and share the video around if you find this video informative. I also have a membership scheme which you can join. I have 8 amazing, beautiful members. And I would, with all of the situation going on with inflation and rising prices and that, do not feel compelled to do that. If you can support the Hoggcast by becoming a member, you can. You do not, under any circumstances, have to. I completely understand, but that option is there. Anyway, let's go.
National School Boards Association, it found the organization had planned to ask the White House to send military to monitor school board meetings, where the board likened angry parents to domestic terrorists. This September 2021 draft reads, quote, "We ask that the Army National Guard and its military police be deployed to certain school districts and related events where students and school personnel have been subjected to acts and threats of violence." So with that,
think about everything that's happened like recently. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about the last few days, right? So what's been happening in schools, yeah? Do you really think that it's the parents, conservative parents, that need the military intervention? I mean, what do these school board members expect? Because the thing is with the left, they never give you a direct answer of what they want to do. Yeah. What is your end game here? Okay, so if you got your way, the military is deployed to school board meetings, and a parent starts speaking up because they are upset with the filth that you're pumping into schools, the propaganda, etc., etc. And then you, as a school board member, say, out! Like we've seen them numerous times when they get challenged. They don't like to be challenged. And then the parent refuses. What does the military then do? Do they shoot the mother? Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Leftists, they never think through what they're doing. Look at Joe Biden with his astoundingly reckless comments on both Russia and China. If he's not unchecked with his rhetoric, you may end up in a war with both of those, and that's not something you want, America. I'm sorry, but you don't. You don't, especially with the potato in the White House, yeah? But this is what I mean. the left, they don't think about their rhetoric. They just go bleh without thinking where it will take them, where it will end up, where it will take us. Yeah.
We bring in the man who has been the expert and center of a lot of this discussion, Ian Pryor, Executive Director of Fight for Schools and Senior Advisor for America First Legal. Ian, great to have you with us. So what's your reaction to this early draft that suggested, gee, it would be great if we could just get the military into these school board meetings to calm things down?
I mean, it's absolutely appalling that the National School Board Association would suggest, mobilizing the American military to go into school board meetings because angry parents are exercising their First Amendment right. Look, I've watched dozens, if not hundreds, of school board meetings and have attended them. Yes, they are heated. Yes, they are passionate. No.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about their children. This is families. Do they not have a right? Forget the look. The First Amendment, of course, important. You know that. I know that. But we're talking about a basic primal instinct for parents to defend, protect, and want the best for their children, yeah? So of course it's going to be heated when you're pushing all this filth and propaganda, right? You're trying to turn children against their parents. You're trying to put our children through your radical leftist mould, yeah? And you want to build them in your image. You're playing God with our children. And when we speak up about that, well, let's get the military, let's get the army, the National Guard. Just listen to yourself.
No, it does not rise to the level of bringing in the National Guard to deal with this. I mean, this is an ask this would have been an ask if they had submitted this draft by the NSBA to the federal government to effectively go after parents for exercising their constitutional rights. That has a chilling effect, and quite frankly, it's frightening.
Yeah, I'm thinking about some of the terrible behavior that we saw, the rioting and people's storefronts being broken with glass and people threatened and...
Right, exactly. Where was the National Guard there? Look at Chaz, right? You had a bunch of leftists, and it happened twice. Just in Seattle, and then you had it in Portland as well. Yeah, there was another zone. There was the chop zone in one. I think it was Seattle with the chop, and then there was another one, weren't there? These are people who actively tried to set up their own countries within the United States. They burnt the US flag. They were telling you to your face what they were going to do. They looted shops and the rest of it. And forget National Guard, forget US, the Marines. They didn't even send in the local police. They just let them get on with it. Ted Wheeler and the rest of the radical lot in the summer of love, yeah. So you don't even get the local bobbies out for them, but parents, taxpayers, actually productive parents who want the best for their kids, you're going to bring their National Guard in
and assaulted in the streets. And I remember when Senator Tom Cotton suggested that maybe there should be a military response, and the outrage that was met with. Now, in full disclosure, this is what the National School Board Association Executive Director says in response to this, Dr. John Heim. He says the letter directly contradicts our core commitments to parent engagement, local control, and nonpartisanship. The sentiments shared in this letter do not represent the views or position of the NSBA.
Yeah, but how often does this keeps happening? And I'll tell you why. This is something that a lot of people and myself predicted when I predicted this when I was a young man. I'm 36 now. When I was 18, 19 years old, even then, when this was all starting, the early 2000s, I did warn that these gender studies people would, once they've finished college, they would go into usually the public sector. Some go into the private sector, but as we know, most leftists are concentrated in the public sector, where they act like parasites on the conservative taxpayers, yeah? This is what happens. So you have the NSBA, and you have what they're claiming to be their position, which is to be non-partisan, to have parents involved, and so on and so on, okay? Yet you've obviously got these rogue, woke employees that are calling for this, that are doing this. We see it everywhere, and yes, even in the private sector. Look at Spotify with Joe Rogan. Okay, there's some other examples I can think of. Twitter with Elon Musk, they had to actually lock the code down to stop disgruntled rogue employees, leftists, from sabotaging the company. Well, if we can't have it, no one can. These type of things aren't done by conservatives. Okay, private companies are now having to protect themselves from their own woke employees.
The NSBA does not seek to or advocate for federal law enforcement intervention at local school board meetings. So, what do you make of that, response to this early draft of a prior letter?
Well, the actual draft did request federal law enforcement. I requested counterterrorism means to go after parents and to look into parents at school.
And you see this here with the police officers manhandling the parent. I disagree with that as well. The age of I'm just doing my job has to come to an end. Okay, if America is going to continue, the United States, as it once was, the age of, well, I'm just doing what the guy above me told me to do has to end. You can't be complacent in things like that all the time. Yeah, isn't it funny how whenever a leftist does anything, it's all about understanding. But when a conservative does something, it's all about no understanding. No understanding is needed at all. It's just this, that, and the other done with.
School board meetings. And the fact of the matter is the Biden administration worked with the NSBA to draft this letter, or to get this letter out there. America First Legal, we FOIA'd any active threats from the Department of Justice or FBI that they had at the time that Merrick Garland went up and testified, and there were none. The bottom line is the Department of Justice, the White House, they got all of this from newspaper articles. If you go through the NSBA letter, most of those articles were just angry parents. There may have been, one or two where there was an issue of disorderly conduct, one of which was a parent whose daughter had been sexually assaulted, the month before. So for them to now...
Yeah, and it's like you're not allowed to get angry about that type of thing. Meanwhile, the Chaz types, the Chop Zone types, they can do anything to anyone, anytime, and it's called the Summer of Love. Yeah, you as a enraged parent with a dishonored daughter aren't even allowed to broach your concerns.
Say, oh, well, we didn't really want federal law enforcement in there. You're citing the Patriot Act. You're citing the domestic terrorism statute in your letter to the Biden administration. So, this looks like a CYA from the NSBA, and I don't think it's going to work. And I think when Republicans retake the House, they're going to find themselves in congressional hearings.
Yeah.
Well, so, we'll end the video there, but I want to make a very important point. It looks like there's going to be a red wave. Don't hold your breath. You know what the Democrats are like, the rhinos, the globalists. You don't know what kind of tricks they're going to pull. They've pulled these tricks before. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. But if it does happen and the Republicans take back the House, the Senate, you need to have the balls to hold them to the same standards that they've been holding you to for a very long time. And not only that, the Democrats have been holding Republicans to this particular quote-unquote standard, even though they fell far short of that. The Democrats have been doing all of the things that they claim the Republicans have been doing. So the precedent has been set. You need the strength to hold these people accountable. Conservatives have to just stop going, well, it's, if we just ignore it, they'll go away. They're not going to go away. They are not. They see you as a resource to be tapped. Okay? They see you as an enemy. Right? And until they see you as a weak enemy, and until you show them that you're not, well, they'll just keep it up. Where do you go from there? Send in the military to school board meetings. What next? Anyway, I'll leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments section below. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.